Welcome to Black History Matters 2024. This is the fourth installment of an educational series produced by the National Abolition Hall of Fame and Museum. These short educational videos are meant to provide an introduction to topics important to our understanding of Black American history, but also the larger history of the African diaspora across the Americas and the world. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's episode, Spirits of Africa, African Spiritual Practices Abroad. As nearly 12 million Africans were forcibly taken from Africa over the span of 400 years during the slave trade, they took their customs with them to the vast new lands they and their descendants would one day call home. A big part of this movement was their spirituality, a part of their identity that defied and transcended their human condition and connected them to their land of origin and ancestors. These are a few examples of those practices that Africans carried with them across the vast seas that they crossed. The first among these practices we'll discuss is Santeria. Santeria originated from the Yoruba people of Nigeria and Benin, and it has flourished in Cuba and other parts of the Caribbean. Santeria blends elements of Yoruba religion with Roman Catholicism, resulting from the syncretism forced upon enslaved Africans during colonization. Today, Santeria practitioners, known as santeros or santeras, honor orishas or deities through rituals, prayers, and offerings, maintaining a rich spiritual tradition that integrates African and Catholic beliefs in the Caribbean. Another well-known example is that of Candomblé, originating from the Yoruba, Fon, and Bantu people of West Africa. It is a vibrant Afro-Brazilian religion practiced primarily in Brazil. Enslaved Africans brought their religious tradition to Brazil, where Candomblé evolved as a syncretic religion, blending African deities with Catholic saints, much like Santeria. Candomblé ceremonies involve music, dance, and spiritual possession, fostering connections between devotees and orishas, which, as we mentioned, are deities. Despite persecution and suppression, Candomblé has persisted and thrived as a resilient expression of Afro-Brazilian culture and spirituality. Among the more well-known examples, especially because we have some of it here in the United States, is that of voodoo. Voodoo is rooted in spiritual practices of West African peoples such as the Fon, the Ewe, and the Yoruba, and is practiced primarily in Haiti and the Haitian diaspora, much of what we'll find, for example, in places like Louisiana. Enslaved Africans brought their ancestral beliefs to the island of Hispaniola, present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic, where voodoo emerged as a fusion of African religions, Catholicism, and indigenous Caribbean spirituality. Voodoo ceremonies, led by priests and priestesses known as Hougans and Mambos, involve rituals, drumming, and offerings to Iwa, or spirits, for guidance and protection. Despite enduring persecution and misrepresentation, voodoo remains an integral part of Haitian identity and culture, as well as that of their diaspora. Our last example is that of Obeah, which originated from West Africa, particularly among the Akan and Ashanti peoples of present-day Ghana and the Ivory Coast. It is practiced in the Caribbean as well, particularly in Jamaica and English-speaking Caribbean islands. Obeah encompasses a range of spiritual practices including healing, divination, and protection. Enslaved Africans brought Obeah to the Caribbean, where it evolved as a syncretic religion blending African, indigenous, and European influences. Despite being marginalized and stigmatized, Obeah practitioners known as Obeahmen and Obeah women continue to serve their communities as healers, spiritual advisors, and guardians of ancestral wisdom. Despite the trauma of enslavement, forced migration, and cultural suppression, African spirituality traditions have endured and flourished in diverse geographic and cultural contexts, reflecting the human capacity for cultural continuity. The persistence of African spiritual practices through the diaspora seeks to show how innate human need for connection, meaning, and transcendence surpasses geographic boundaries and historical traumas. It highlights the enduring quest for spiritual nourishment, community, and identity, as well as the profound impact of spirituality on individuals and collective well-being. Moreover, you'll notice that almost all of these religions were syncretic in nature, and that is an example of how the African diaspora's religious beliefs have a very transformative power of cultural exchange and hybridity, demonstrating humanity's ability to adapt and innovate in responses to changing social and historical circumstances. In essence, the spread of African spirituality throughout the diaspora illuminates the enduring quest for spiritual truth, connection, and liberation. Thank you so much for joining us today for this presentation on Spirits of Africa, African Spiritual Practices Abroad. On your screen, you will see a link. It's also available in the video description, and this link will take you to a Google form where you can take a survey and leave feedback about your experience with this video. Your feedback helps us plan for future events and to secure funding, so we really appreciate if you could take a few minutes to fill it out. Once again, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you at our next presentation.